Welcome back to the second hour of Lovebabz Lovetalk. I'm Babs Rose Ivy, and that's Enroue.
Hello, Babs.
Hello, darling. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm doing well.
I'm so glad to see you. So, you know what? I just had a wonderful conversation with Perry So and Courtney Bryan for the New Haven Symphony.
Hmm.
The season kicks off on Sunday. And they're doing Beethoven's Ninth, which is Ode to Joy. And so
Hmm.
I got to thinking about you might already have something you want to talk about, but I want to talk about um how do we embrace joy with our ancestors, even though they've passed, and it might have been sad that they passed, but did they leave us with joy? Do they want us to have joy, or how do we have joy with knowing that loved ones have passed? So, I
Hmm.
mean, if that's not what you want to talk about, that's fine, but it just made me think about that. So,
We can go with that. Let's as we as we do, um,
start with our favorite thing to
start
do.
with our chant. So, like, this chant will actually inform the answer.
Oh,
Um, so this chant, this Yoruba chant, to honor, to welcome, to yeah, to celebrate life, and joy in that. So this chant is saying, I honor my ancestral male lineage. I honor my ancestral female lineage. I honor all of my ancestors for the ashe that they have left for us, or they have left for me. And that ashe that they have left for me, I'm using it today. So ashe is a word that has many meanings. Ashe is often used in a similar way to amen, which means let it be so. Right? May these things we're praying for, may that be so. It's also another layer around, there are things that are created in like either the spiritual realm or as like ideas in this unseen realm. And ashe is the thing that transforms that from the unseen to the seen, or the spiritual to the material, right? That kind of manifesting, not not the way it's used in kind of popular discourse around, like, I'm just going to manifest a thing. Like, if I think hard enough about it, that will manifest it. But sometimes it's about what we do to manifest those things. I have this idea, I'm going to draw it, or this, and build it, right? Or let me help to support the conditions for something to then come about. A seed that's planted manifests, transforms, right, as fruit, right? So the seed has in it, right, the ability to manifest that, even though it's not it in that moment. So ashe is that. Ashe is also like the authority to do something, right? So like someone passes the bar, they now have the authority to practice as a lawyer. They have the ashe of that. So it's also used in that way. Just, I don't know, just kind of throw out that like profession, right? But we don't just have it because we want it, right? Or I'm just gonna like put the label on myself. That doesn't give us the ashe for it. We also have our own ashe, like our own gifts and talents, right? This is also what we're talking about our ancestors, right? They've passed on the way that we experience the world, reality, through our senses, our eyes, how we see, our nose, how we smell, how we taste, how we feel, how we hear. These are sense organs, right? Our bodies build these things. We use DNA to build these things, and DNA is passed on generation to generation. And we get it from our ancestors, right? So that blend of how we experience reality, that's also our ashe, as well as not just how we sense things, but skills, kind of that kind of inherent talents that some people have, right? That's part of the ashe that's been left for us. So ashe is also that, the kind of particular like power or skill that we have, also our ancestors have, also the Orisha have different Orisha have different ashe, different powers, right, or ways of working in the world, or working with people, or working with energy, or working with life. So all of these things, and even more, are ashe. And so when we say in this chant, which I will, yes, get to, we are thanking them for the ashe that they have left for us. That's in us, that's around us, and it may even be a tool. Oh, they left this tool, and I have this affinity to use that tool. That's the ashe, right? I come from a long line of people who built things. So even though I've done lots of work and skill and training, I have this affinity towards building things, to be able to use a tool. That's ashe. And then we're not just honoring them for what they've left for us, but we're using it. So that's our role, is, not just this is something sitting around unused, or like an ability that's untapped. That's a waste, right? We're not honoring them. We're not honoring what this life is. So we're also saying that we're using them. So all of these things we'll get into, I think, and people may already have a sense of how this already answers your question around how do we, right, stay connected to joy? How can we be connected to our ancestors who there could be lots of complex feelings about, either sad that they're gone, or happy that they're gone, or I don't want anything to do with you, or I want everything to do, like, where's this joy, right? How do we relate to that? So we'll get to that after the chant. So if, just enjoy the chant if you like, that's fine also, but use it as an opportunity to welcome in the presence of your ancestors, the beloved people who cared for you and raised you and helped you to be who you are, who are no longer with us in body. Ba 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 tofu ashe o. Ba 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 tofu ashe. Ba 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 tofu ashe o. Ba 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 tofu ashe. Ashe te fuan lan lo yo. Ba 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 tofu ashe. Ba ye ye tofu ashe o. Iba ye ye tofu ashe. Iba ye ye tofu ashe o. Iba ye ye tofu ashe. Ashe te fuan lan lo yo. Iba ye ye tofu ashe. Iba egungun tofu ashe o. Iba egungun tofu ashe. Iba egungun tofu ashe o. Ibai gungun tofu ashe te fuan lan lo yo. Ibai gungun tofu ashe. Ibai gungun tofu ashe. Ibai gungun tofu ashe. Ibai gungun tofu ashe. 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 Ashe.
Amen.
So life, there's joy in life, right? Life itself is joyfulness in that, right? Something growing there's joy in it. I don't know many things that it's so we can have opinions about whether we want something to grow. Oh, this is a weed. This is in the way, right? We might be happy about, but the force of life, that generative thing, is joyful. Is literally what life is about. Death is also a part of that, right? And there's actually things that are nourished, right? When things die, other things, right, feed on that thing that has died and propagate more life. So the two things, life and death, are interdependent. They're not separate.
Mm-hmm.
And also, joy, just like life, is precious and fleeting and tender, right? Joy like emerges from us, right? We're like, something like opens up in us, unfurls, right? Flowers, things like that. A loved one doing something. I was in my car this morning and I saw this person with this adult with this little, maybe like 2 or 3 year old little person next to him who's like kind of running down the street. And like there's as much energy going up and down with these little children as it is going forward. And so the adult started to do the same thing, kind of running the same way. And like it just, boop, it emerged, right? Joy just emerged out of me. I didn't have to say like, oh, that is a really pleasant thing. It's evoking like pleasant memories. It was like, oh, that was like this smile, right? This joyfulness emerged. That's wondrous. Right? So this like allowing, we have to allow that to emerge. If our hearts are hardened because of circumstances and how we've then responded to those circumstances and then choose to respond to those circumstances, because there's also a way that we can then choose to respond, right? There's kind of the response, and then there's, well, do we keep it hardened? Do we maintain that hardness? Or do we learn to and do things to melt it, to soften it, to crack it open, right? So we can still be touched by joy, by the joys of life and of living, which are also here. And that to me is such a, as we look at our relationship with our ancestors, that's really important because we're here now. They were here. They experienced life in its joys, in its sorrows, in celebration, in grief, in pain, in love and beauty, all the complexities, and not always skillfully at all, but there were all those conditions were also there, and they lived with them. So we can lean on them to help us to remember that joy, to feel that joy, to feel the blessings and opportunities that we now have because we're alive. And life is not, let me just hold on tight and like get through, but is something to be lived in and experienced and be open to the wonders and to the joy, even to the pain and the sadness, because that's also like sadness, particularly when like loved ones are gone. That's about our love for them.
Mm-hmm.
And if we tighten that up and hold that off, we lose access even to the love. And so those are the ways that we can lean on them, turn towards them, be open to what they have to offer us in however we experience it. There's not one way to experience this relationship with our ancestors. Some people, it's conceptual, like, okay, I honor them, they did these things, great. I'll give thanks for them, right? And I'll work on myself to be a better person and not perpetuate harms that they may have done or bad habits that I learned from them or dysfunction I learned from them or trauma I inherited from them. I'll do my healing work, right? So I can not be so reactive, so I can make choices and be open to what's here and be curious. Or it might be someone who's like on another, not one end of a spectrum, but like on another part of a spectrum, which is like people see and hear and feel the presence of their ancestors in a very direct way. They discern it between like this person who's alive, but there's a lot of blending and overlap in that. And there are also people who experience them in the spiritual practice in the spiritual world like that, and they have to learn how to navigate that, so they know how to. Oh, now it's time to drive a car, and now it's the time to talk to these spirits. It's very important to be able to discern what to pay attention to. But in whatever that is, really, we're here a very short amount of time as an individual human being.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when that's ending, when we'll be passing, right? So we can say, oh, let me make sure I do other things because I know, like in a week. I mean, some people get those things because of health or because of spiritual messages, like, oh, got to put my affairs in order. Like this is what's happening. I see this end date is coming, right? But typically, what people do when they feel that way, what do? They make peace. All the things that they held on so tightly, they try to make peace with those people, or those things make peace with themselves. Oh, how can I forgive myself? How can I forgive this other person? Let me rejoice in the way the light is coming through the trees, the way the leaves are turning colors, the ways that, oh, the cicadas and the crickets are calling. Oh, yeah, remember when the fireflies were around? Oh, I don't see them so much. That was beautiful. Oh, and now, there's still beautiful birds, wonderful birds singing, and oh, the geese are starting to migrate. What do? They become more present, right? If they have the capacity, right? Because sometimes there's, right, pain and other things that are in the way, right? Or there are other things that are in the way that they're holding on so tight. So even in these last precious moments, some people can't overcome that. But for many people, it's when faced with that, they're not just like, let me just go out with a bang with everything. It's like, oh, let me really soak in what this living thing is about. Something we take for granted. Many of us take for granted. And so that piece around joy, it's joy is usually like joy of life. When we think of joy, being alive, yes. We don't even know what that is, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just happy or excited. It's like, oh, there's something that's like expansive in that, right? Can move us when we allow ourselves to be moved. And that's a part of living. And when that's difficult, it points to some real healing that's needed. Oh, well, why can't I feel joy? Oh, I don't want to be open too much. Something may happen. Or what if I care too much and then I lose the thing, right? So we shorten and tighten and harden our hearts, which means we experience less of life with this notion of protecting ourselves from hurt or control. But that means we're actually less alive. Because if we harden our hearts to protect ourselves from pain, we are hardening our hearts to joy and to love as well. Even though human beings are so complex and complicated, our hearts in that way is simple. It's like open, close. Some permutations, right? You can let some things, but it's not like I can create a filter that just filters all the negative things out and just lets all the good in. And that would be awful because those things we call negative or uncomfortable inform us of beauty and of joy. We could come back to joy and love, right? And openness and tenderness and even rest and ease. Because that means, I can relax, right? If everything is controlled and fearful, we can't even relax. We're holding everything tight. So to me, it's all intertwined, right? Joy and life and openness and expansiveness, and to remember that there is also that in our ancestry. It can be so easy to look back and just see pain
Mm-hmm.
and just see hardship and just see suffering. Like, oh, well, why would I want to go back to that? Why would I want to invite that into my life? And so I actually, and I say this not from like a theory. And so so it's not totally true. So one aspect is like among the Yoruba and among many peoples, we are connected to our ancestors as a part of life and our spiritual practice and tradition and our own development because we see them as fundamentally wanting us to be well and being able to offer support. So that is like a theological concept of like, that's a good place. they're on our side. That's like theological underpinnings. They're on our side. They're a resource for us. But more so, it's through my practice that I found that to be true. Even in when, I've had ancestors, I've had, right, people like my grandfather who became an ancestor, and I was really angry at him for ways that he had parented my father and caused a lot of pain. And those things got passed down, and things around masculinity and violence and addiction. And I like, if I'm going to be well and be present, I have to face those things in me. And I have to, oh, here's somebody who I can actually work on this relationship with. And in the moment, it wasn't like, oh, I want to like work on my anger with you so that it can be wonderful. It's like, my altar, I'm like writing letters and I'm saying things. And I'm like, but it's all about, it's actually a really powerful process of going into ways that I felt heartbreak and pain. Not the anger was about that heartbreak and pain. And through doing that, I was able to tease apart just simple narrative of like good and bad and right and wrong. And like, oh, these are ways that you were really hurt and you actually did better than your father. Right? Oh, and my father did better than his father. And I think I'm doing an okay job doing better than my father, and my son and my children will do better than me. That's I hope and I pray for that and I see that. But if I'm not willing to address and look at the heartbreak and pain, I can't come to a place of love and connection, even with the one who I was so mad at, I thought was a source of so much. It's like, oh, well, you're not the source. You were responding. You did the best you could, actually. Oh, and this other one, oh, you're not the source either. You must, and it can be so easy to simply hold on to like, where's the blame? Who can I point to? Where can I point to the blame? And it's not so easy. And so it's not to dismiss it or ignore it, but it's like, oh, why am I focusing so hard to know where it may have started with an individual, with a system? And how is it living in me? And how can I transform myself to be freer, to be more open to joy? Not as like an addictive, like I just want to feel good all the time, but like really like, oh, there's something for me here. Because joy is like, oh, there's something for me here. There's a celebration, there's an openness and a wonder, right? And not knowing. You can't point to one thing and say, oh, that's the thing. If I do more of that, that will bring joy. If I just go look at happy children running all the time, I'll just feel joy all the time. That's not true. But can I be open when it arises? Can I say yes to it when it arises?
I love that. I love that you're giving people opportunity to really center themselves in thinking about joy and how to tap into your ancestors, because it's already in you. You just have to allow it to rise to the top, and to let it rise to the top without you like being afraid, like, oh, they see me, or oh, I'm being seen, or whatever it is for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy but it's not easy because we've been trained otherwise. That's why it's not easy. Our ancestors are like always there, loving us. And I say this as collectively, right? This like I like to talk to people and share this image of like this arena full of all of our ancestors, right? And they're just like, yeah, they're just like cheering for us. Yes, we want you to be well. And sure, there are some in there who are grumpy or who are like curled up in a ball and mad, or who are like passed out in a corner somewhere, or like a mess. But like the arena is like, yes. And very often what can happen is, so as we go into the arena, we see like one or two who we know at the door, and we're like, oh. that's I don't want to be I don't want to invite them in. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want them to see me. And so we like turn around and leave. And so we lose out when we do that. We lose out on the arena, right?
Mm.
So we can deal with those people. They're not actually gatekeepers. They're not locking the door. They're just they're like collecting tickets. They're just standing there, right? And so we can make some other choices. We can just say like, I'm just eyes forward. I'm just gonna go past them and like not interact. Go into the arena. Yes. Oh, so good. Right? So transformative, such opportunity. Oh, this Ashe is here. I didn't even know this Ashe was in here. Oh, yes, now it's like all the stalls and all the things I can do, right? Instead of like standing outside. Or you can like, all right, I'm gonna deal with this one. So I'll stop and have a conversation and so this is how you're relevant or not relevant or why I'm mad or so good to see you or like it's really hard that you're here and like I don't even know how I'm gonna deal with this stuff. Right, you can engage in that, but don't get so absorbed that you forget to go into the arena.
Mm.
So you can just like go do like an end around, just go around them, or you can like interact with them, or I just encourage people. And some days it might be about like I just have to turn around and go. But in the arc of your life, let yourself find your way into that arena. And what do we need to do to be open to the love and support and care and joy that is there? What do we need to do to be open to that? Because we're alive now, and if we're adults, we have more capacity. What am I doing to cultivate a real relevant joy for me? Because my joy,
Mm.
what brings me joy is different from what brings you joy, right? So what am I doing to honor, right, the ashe that's been left for me? What am I doing to use it today, to access it, to manifest it, to cultivate it, to let it grow and unfold? And I don't know where that will take me. But that's also life. We don't know where life will take us. We don't know what growing really means. The acorn doesn't really know when it's an acorn what that end result will look like because there are certain conditions that it will grow in. But it already has in it the tree. It already has in it the next acorns. And so already in that one acorn, there's multiple generations of acorns and ones that have come from the past. So
Yeah.
let us be open to, we're part of a long stream of life. We're not separate from our ancestors. We're not separate from those who come after us. We're here because of these certain conditions. So let us also rejoice and be open to what's possible.
Yeah. I like that. I like that acorn analogy. Like I like that, because it's a small thing, but it produces so much, you know. So it doesn't
Hmm.
have to be a big thing. It could be a very small thing that could,
Yeah.
you know.
Plant it, nourish this little thing. Oh, that makes me a little happy. I get a little smile when I do this thing. Okay, do a little more. Let it in a little more. Create more time in your life for it.
Yeah.
Let me let me speak to my ancestors from my heart, not just from my head and my notions of what is right or wrong or what I should or shouldn't be doing. I think I should be talking to them. Let me so to speak from your heart, you have to touch your heart. Right? So just cultivate that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me touch my heart.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. I like that. That's a good talk today.
Yay. Yeah, that's good.
You know what? I just, just having that conversation with the symphony folks, with Perry So and Courtney, talking about joy. And I just wanted to stay in that theme of cultivating joy, not in an artificial way or everybody's got to sing and dance down the street, but just like these moments of happiness and joy that sort of peeks through. if we
Yeah.
just spend a little time noticing and stopping and just relaxing and just,
Let
we all
ourselves be
got stuff. We all
carried by
got
it.
stuff.
Yeah. Can we let ourselves be carried by joy, right? Because so in that symphony, right, people can play that symphony all kinds of ways and like it doesn't elicit anything, right? I'm working to like make it right to like play it, or like okay, I'm listening to it, that's fine. But like the moments where we can allow ourselves to be carried by something, that's that's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
We can be carried by and supported by these things of life. We don't have to have it all held tight.
Yeah. And that's the part, you know.
Yeah.
That's the part. And everybody has their own key to this, right? Like
Yes. Yeah.
everybody has the ability to soften and ease bitterness and ease, you have the ability to do it,
Yeah.
so thank you, Enroue. It was a
Thank you,
good
Babs.
conversation today. I
Always good.
needed it. It just keeps
Yeah.
me, it carries me further along.
So good. So good. Thank you,
thank,
Babs.
thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Love you.
I love you too. Love and blessings and joy to everybody out there. However you feel it, you notice it, just give your little yes moments to it when it
Yes.
shows up. Be like, oh, yes. What was
Yes. Yes.
that?
Yes. So Enroue will be back. Don't y'all worry. He'll be back and we'll talk some more. Thank
Yes.
you.
Be well, Babs. Thank you,
Thanks,
Harry.
Harry.